Welcome everyone to today's live stream, how to save time, money and energy when working with your web designer. And I'm really excited to have with us today Meirav Dulberg from Webby Web Design, who is going to be sharing her tips and tricks whether you're creating a website from scratch or enhancing your website. There's a lot of things you have to consider. And Meirav is here with us today to clarify things and make our lives easier. Welcome, Meirav. Great to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic. So, Meirav, I thought we'd start today by asking you to tell us more about you, your background, and how you got started in the world of web design and web development.
Okay, thank you. So I guess my journey started when I was facing the decision before I went to university, which degree to take. I always loved design, but I also really wanted to do a business degree. So I did choose the business path, and I did a business degree with emphasis on marketing. And this is actually where I started my career, working for in tourism. I worked with Hertz, and then I worked with AMP, with Norwegian Capricorn Line, which is a big cruise company. And I worked mainly in marketing and business there. I actually looked after the digital side of things a little bit, but websites were not that developed at the time. And then when I started a family and I took a few years off, I sort of thought I wanted to get into business for myself. And my husband is a developer. He's in IT, and he was telling me, you could learn this. So he put me on some courses, and I did some coding. And I guess taking my passion to design, my business and strategy skills, and then the technical bits of coding, I've set up the business. So and I started with a few local schools and kindergartens where I was involved in a committee, and some people I knew that had businesses, and then I could see that this is great, and I loved it. So that's how I started.
Fantastic. It's good your husband suggested it, and it worked out well, and you enjoyed it, and it was suitable for you and your skill set. That's great. And there's a lot of web designers and web developers out there. What differentiates you from others, or what differentiates one web developer from another one?
Yeah, look, everyone is different, and it's a creative field as well. But I guess for me, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm more a developer with design skills. So I think that's the main difference. So I really understand technically how websites work, and I could code everything from scratch if I wanted to. That's probably a big difference. Also the strategy and marketing, because this is my strength, is like coming from business, and I always look at things long term, and I do a strategy before I go and just design a website based on graphics. So I think that's another big point of difference for me. And then today, so this is in general, but then being a Squarespace expert was one of the things that put me different from others. Many developers use WordPress. And I decided probably 7 years ago to specify to be a specialist with Squarespace, which at the time not many were using. So that was a big point of difference for me. And now I exclusively work with, I'm a Squarespace expert, and I work only with Shopify and Squarespace.
So you're very specialized. We'll talk
yeah,
more
I
about
decided my niche.
that's your niche, your specialty, like you know it very well, back to front, inside out.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about the platform side of things, but that's interesting to know that. And as far as your work goes, what do you love most about it? What gives you the most joy and satisfaction when you build websites?
I think just seeing not only new businesses, because I work a lot with established businesses, but seeing a vision come to life. And
yes,
I love to see that my clients are happy, and love your website is my tagline, because I really want them to love it.
Yeah, so you feel proud, basically.
Yeah, I feel proud. Yeah, and also the fact that I work with so many different industries or people, and meeting different people, working with food people or with corporates, personal consultants, all sorts of companies. I learn so much from them, and just the variety of the work. So I love that. Yeah.
Oh, it's very satisfying from many different angles.
Yeah.
And you also do volunteer work as a mentor. Tell us a bit about that.
So I did a lot of school volunteering with children, teaching coding, and trying to encourage them to be more enterprising and all that. But now, in the last year or so, I've joined Glenara and City of Kingston. They have a program for mentoring. And so I've joined them, and I take a few mentees on, and they're usually a startup, small business that needs some support. And I mainly look at digital and marketing and mentor them. So I've really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a good scope. You've got your mentoring and your clients. It's a nice balance, especially to help people at pro bono basis. That's nice too. Now, we spoke about choosing a platform. There's Squarespace and Shopify and WooCommerce and WordPress and Weebly, and your head spins with all the different options. Why would someone maybe veer towards Squarespace or WordPress? I mean, what are the considerations, in other words?
Yes. So look, it is different for every person. So I can't really say here which platform is better, because every platform has its pros and cons. So the best thing to do is, before you select, don't just jump on a platform because you saw an ad and that you think that it will be easy to use. Is talk to the developer, or talk to someone, like I do some strategy sessions. So talk to someone and understand the differences between the platform in terms of functionality. Like, for example, if you're an online shop, Shopify is the best, the one of the top ones to choose from. But if you're a small shop and you only have 2 products, maybe you prefer to go to a different platform because you don't need all the bells and whistles. If you're creative, Squarespace will be a great platform because they have folio features. It's very easy to add photos and folio. So every platform is different.
Yes.
It is a little bit, you can move between platforms, but it's really good if you could set up a strategy and know what's good for you from, to start with. There's a lot of free, like the Wix and Weebly, that give you a free platform. A lot of startups use it because they don't have to pay anything. But usually what I see is it takes them it takes them for a year or so, and then they either need to move platform or actually properly develop it and start paying them. So it's so I guess it's very individual, and best to read and research before you sign up.
So it's horses for courses, but you by talking to someone about their needs, you can guide them in the right direction if it's for them.
I always have a strategy session, which is that we'll talk about with my first step, and then at that session we will talk about things. And even the online shop between 2 platforms, there'll be different way of shipping and things like that. So I could tell them, look, this platform will work for you, this will not, and we'll choose based on that. Yeah,
so getting that advice is priceless, because then you go in from the get-go with the right strategy, and that's
because if you pay annual fee in advance and you then after a month realize it's not the right platform, you lose money, so it's very important to know that in advance.
It's like having a good architect when you're building a house. You want to do it all right from the beginning and not look later and say, oh, why didn't I look at this aspect or that aspect? Fantastic. So when a client first contacts you, a prospective client I should say, what are the things that happen at that point?
Yeah. So once we, I always provide like an estimate, because I like to always have a quick chat on the phone, even though a lot of my inquiries are from, online. I like to get to know the business and the person, so I can give them a rough estimate for the project. But then the first step is a strategy session. So that's like an hour-long session where we meet, and I always prefer to do it face-to-face and get to know the client and ask them this questions. We review functionality and structure of a website, so what you want the website to do. Then we talk about ranking on Google and what they want to do there, because that's very important to have a strategy about that from the beginning. Then we talk about their branding. If they don't have a brand, we will collaborate with something, but we need to talk about that, the target market, and then the photos, like all the aesthetics of a website. So I do get them to fill in a brief before, and then so I'm ready for the session. And then after the session, I can put together a brief with the sitemap and functionality. So they have everything that that's, everything in one place that's going to happen, with their website.
The more work someone's put into the brief, it makes your job easier. So
Yes.
What questions do they have to look at their competitors, at colours they like? I mean, can you give us some idea of the questions on that brief, so just to get people thinking on the right track?
Yeah. So I ask questions about functionality, for example, what you want the website to do, like do you want online bookings, these sort of things. Then I ask also, how much time do you have to spend on it? Because if someone says, I want all of this, but I only have an hour a week, then we would have to think of automation or things like that. Yes. If they say they want to blog, but they don't have time to blog, then I might suggest not to do it or outsource it. So all of these questions are in the brief. In terms of branding, I just ask them to show me everything they have. So if they have the logo, show me your logo, show me all your marketing, the flyers, your social media, so I can see what you've been doing, because it has to be consistent. But if they don't have a brand, that's colors and all this, we'll also talk to the branding person, and then they'll feed that to me. So we don't talk about that too much in the brief. But competitors, I want to know who are the competitors, and also I like to know the websites they do like, a list of websites they like and why they like them, but also websites they don't like and why they don't like them. And that's not necessarily in the industry in general, because that gives me an idea of features, or they really like big images, or they like clean white space. It gives me an idea for a general look and feel of a website.
That's great, because the more you understand what they want, the more they're going to end up liking what you end up creating for them. And I love the way too you can liaise with the different people, the photographer, the brand, and I know Claire is the branding person, and you and Claire helped me to get online with the website, and it's all seamless the way you work together, and I love that, the way you make the process so easy and streamlined.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I will work with any brand or graphic designer, but for example with Claire, and we've been working together almost 10 years. So we really know each other, and we have similar business ethics or the way we work. So we will collaborate behind the scene, talk about the brand and everything without even the client knowing, so I can present something that she has, was involved with as well. So that's really good. And we need to involve copywriters, photographers. I always like to talk to them before, so they have an idea of what I'm thinking of doing, and then it just makes this whole process a bit easier.
Yes, but just that seamless liaising with all the different professionals, it makes for a much smoother, and that's part of that saving the time, money and energy, that you're like a central point and you work with all the different people.
It's project management in a way, because I need to bring everything together.
Yes. There's a lot of moving parts that have to just come together. Now, before work starts, there's a few things you need before anything can take place. What are those things?
Okay, so firstly, technically, if they're a new business, they obviously need to register their business name, but also the domain name, so there'll be no surprises. So technically, I always ask them to check and register a domain name, set up their email, set up their social, so everything is there. They can sort of start promoting the website. and the business before the website is ready. And a lot of times I will do a coming soon page just with these things so they can have something. But in order to design the concepts and to start work, I work with 3 elements. So we need the brand or logo, and it's not only an icon, it's the whole logo spec is the best, like to give me fonts, colors, the feel. So everything, even though I talk to the client and understand it, getting that from the branding or the graphic designer is great. The second thing is photos. So especially if you have a product, you have to have photos, or you have space like a restaurant. You really need to have photography, professional photography done. I can't just design a website and then put the photos in, because design revolves around it. With a lot of service businesses, it can be tricky because they don't have photos. So we use stock photos, and for that I do a filtering process with the client to find the right photos that we will use. And then I can edit it and all that, but I just need to get a feeling of what sort of photos we're going to use on the website. And then the words, the copy. So once after the strategy session, you'll get a site map. So you need to put together the words for the website. And many of my clients use a professional copywriter. But even if they don't, then they will write it themselves. But I do need the copy, especially the homepage copy, to start designing, because design revolves also around the words. And if it's only 1 paragraph or 3 paragraphs on a homepage, I'll design it in a different way. Or if I want to push a specific call to action or a specific tagline, I need to know that. So good design will need all these 3 elements. So if you don't have them, just understand that you can't, this will delay the project. So gather all these things before, so then we can work on the website.
Some people probably think, oh, why can't you just do your stuff? But you're waiting on certain things to be in place before work can start.
Yes.
Do some clients find it challenging writing it themselves if they don't engage a copywriter? Is that a challenge? Yes.
I think that's the biggest block that I see, is writing themselves.
Yeah, because it has to read well, and then not only that, you've got the SEO considerations. So you want to,
and a lot of time they would engage in copywriter after trying it themselves. So
well, it's good they give it a shot. So it might be something that just develops with time, because it's an art, like everything in life. It's an art to writing really well. So that's work's underway. What actually happens when when you're actually doing the work? There's a few design concepts and drafts, and you need feedback from the client. Can you explain more a bit about that?
It's very important the client is engaged and has time to give me feedback, because I do want to work with the client. The way I work is I provide 2 concepts, and they can choose between the concepts, or they can choose elements from each. I like to display the same information in different ways. So we have a Zoom and discuss it, or they might just select and then just give me feedback right away. And then the next step, I'll develop a trial website on the platform that we selected to work with. So they'll be able to review all the pages, all the links, all the content. And then there's a couple of rounds of revisions of, changing this, changing that, because when you see the whole website in work, it's a bit different. Then we have the testing. We make sure, we look at different devices on mobile, on tablets. If it's an online shop, we'll do a test order. We'll test all the links, and then when they're happy, we do the technical bits and connect the domain name and go live with a website. So but it doesn't stop there, because we really need to look after the website after.
We'll get to that in a sec. I just want to ask you, are some people, as they see it, do they start adding functionality to it in like scope creep? Do they start adding, maybe Meirav, you can add this, and how about we do this? Do they ever do that, and then it adds to the whole
rarely
thing,
because I think we usually get that done at the strategy session.
So you bed it down at the beginning, yes.
But maybe after a year, things like that. And that's why when you're a startup business, a lot of times I would recommend don't rush and build a full website, because if it's the strategy session, we see that they're not sure about the services or how they want to take bookings and things like that. Often I will say, let's do either just a coming soon page, or what we call just a landing page to get you going for a year. because then you will see how your business is going, and we get a good strategy, and then we can invest in the full website. So that's one of the, I guess, tips, which we'll talk about later. Is about it doesn't always mean you have to do everything, from the beginning.
Like some people might want all the bells and whistles, a 30-page website, and you'd advise them, hey, start more basic, and then over time you'll keep adding to it in a phase sort of approach.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Now, do some people expect you to be there at their beck and call and drop everything when they send, or expect like a very fast turnaround? I mean, or do you have to educate them that there's that you're one person and you've got many clients? Are most people understanding about that?
Yeah, I never had any issues. Yeah, most people do. And I always sort of will respond and say, this is how long it will take, things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I am one person, but I always allocate my time during the week for existing clients. I have always for updates. So usually I can get things done within a week, unless it's a bigger thing. Yeah.
So you have to be organised, and luckily they're understanding. It all boils down to that communication, which I think is key to everything in life. And what about when a client is working with you, because it's a pretty intense period when you're developing the site, do they have to allocate a fair amount of time to be with that backing and forth thing where you're making changes and getting their feedback? What's the time commitment that they need to be aware of when that development process is occurring?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly how much time, but they do need to know, especially when I start. If they take 6 months to give me feedback on concepts, then we'll have to redo it because things change. So they really need to be responsive. And also when I send the trial, the best thing is if within a few days they give me feedback, and then I can get back to them so we can finish it, in a reasonable time. So they do need to have to allocate, to know that they're focused on that project. It's very important. Yeah.
Because it just holds you up. I mean, they need to be engaged with the whole process while you're working on it.
Yeah, and also the quality of the work is better if I get, like I had projects that I would get feedback after 4 months. And then things changed. I had to change that, and I forgot, because when I'm engaged in a project, I give my 100%. But if it's been 4 months since the last time I touched it, I need to refresh myself. So they get better quality, I think, if they're responsive. Yeah.
Everything flows better if it's in a timely way versus 4 months down the track.
Yeah.
That all makes sense. So at the end, the website all goes live. What happens in that process?
Yeah. So the website goes live, and then I offer training. Not all my clients want to learn how to update the website. Some of them just prefer to contact me when they need anything. But if they do, then we schedule a training session, and I will teach them specifically about the website. So I'm an authorized trainer for Squarespace, but I do the same for Shopify, and I'll teach them how to blog or edit the products, whatever they need to do on their website. And then they, if they need anything beyond that, they'll contact me for updates. So that's I do have also some support. I have like a Facebook group that I've set up for my clients. So if there is news that's relevant on Google or Squarespace, Shopify, I'll post it there. I'll send my emails every quarter to my clients with updates. And sometimes I would do, before COVID, we used to do some co-working days where I have clients come and work on their website, because one of the big things people tell me, they put it aside. It's in the hard, basket. So if they have a day that they know they're going to work on their website, they're bringing laptops, everyone works on their things, and I'm there to help. So we've done that and had lunch together. So that's sort of a good thing to do. Yeah,
that's nice. It's a bonding experience.
Now.
Yeah, and it's motivating especially when you procrastinate through things and you've got people, you're all working together. It sort of forces you into action, which is. Mm-hmm. And can you share? I remember you ran some interesting workshops on blogging and search engine optimization. Have you got any tips about optimizing your site for search engine? For optimizing your site to be found in a search engine.
Yeah, it's a long talk.
It's a long talk. In the 20-word version, the short version.
I guess one of the things is that people don't realize that it's all about the copy, the words on your website. because what
Yes.
Google can read is words. So if your keywords or phrases that you want to be found for, if you are actually you're honest and you talk about what you do and your keywords are there, like then it will be found. Like you don't try and overdo it or cheat, if that makes sense. Just have good content, good quality content that talks about what you do, and then do all the other things. If you're in a competitive market, you can try and mark better. But this is like the stone for that. It's like
Yes.
the base for that is like to have really good quality content that has your keywords in it. So
And also to blog fairly regularly too. I think Google likes that.
yeah, but you have to have the basic before, and then your blog strategy should be also around good quality content that relates to the service you offer. Yeah.
Yes. And copywriters would be all clued into that side of things. They'd be all very good with that. Yes.
Yeah, so very good. There are copywriters that are specialized SEO copywriters as well. So not only they would do all of that with SEO in mind, but maybe they'll give you a blogging strategy. There's a few that I work with, but like one that I've worked with many, like similar to Audrey, that I've worked with a lot, and she has, it's different when we work with these words and we have it all together, especially for SEO, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, there's so many different factors you've got to look at with SEO, but it's important, especially people like certain businesses, they like to be on page 1 of Google.
Yes, no, yeah, and you can never promise it. And if anyone promises, be very careful. I never promise it. I can just give you the tools and the advice and build a good, solid website. You never know what will happen tomorrow with a competitor, and
And also the algorithm. It's But there's just certain strategies you can use, and and it boils down to good quality content.
Yes. Yeah.
And using the search terms as much as possible, and
have a solid website, fast with some technical bits as well, obviously, but
yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, are there any other tips, Meirav, you'd like to add before we wind up today? Any other things we haven't covered?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like, especially if you're a startup, don't run into things. Like, you can always do a temporary landing page and start your business, and then identify exactly what you're going to put on your website, and also it gives you time to do the branding properly, the photos, all of that. Choose the platform. It's very important not to run into things, so have some advice about that. Understand what each platform would give you, and to be honest, to get the perfect website, you really need to have all elements. So you have a good brand, good set of photos, professional photos, good copy, SEO support, and also the social media, even though it's separate from the website. But if you have a good social media marketing strategy that really is being reflected on the website and vice versa, it's important, because people will check both. So you want to be consistent. You want to see, want to be good across the board. So
No, it's a lot of things to consider, but it's getting the fundamentals correct. I think that's what it boils down to.
Yes, that's the main thing. Yeah,
and having a person by your side who like holds your hand through the process, because it can be a bit overwhelming when you're starting out and you've got this idea in your head and you want to build it to fruition, and you want the right people and the right platform behind you. So
yes, like one of the things, also be careful with, my cousin is a gamer and they understand computers, so you can build their website.
Yes.
Be careful with this, because it happens a lot, and then you have to it can do damage to your brand if it's not professionally done. There is a lot of platforms that give you the tool, but always think that maybe it's temporary, and do it professionally once you have more strategy.
It's been really fascinating, and I want to thank you so much for your time and your wonderful tips today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meirav.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.